you guys doing today? My name is Anima, and today we have a post-commentated Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi battle for you all, this time against Chris. Thank you very much for appearing on the channel today, Chris. This is a mixed OU tier battle. Maximum of 3 OU Pokemon was the only prerequisite I set. There will be a question of the day at the end of the video. Also, folks, could we destroy 50 likes for today's battle? I would super appreciate that, but you can decide that at the end of the video. So without further ado, let's hit play and just sort of see what's happened, really. You can see from the team preview, he didn't actually bring 3 OU Pokemon, I believe, so it was quite interesting. It was quite interesting indeed. So we're going to open up with Gallade, as I thought he might lead with the with something that I could offend, and that is actually the case. He does lead with the Roserade, and I decided to go for the Mega Evolution Fire Punch. This Roserade is a bit mysterious, as you're going to see. It is actually scarfed and goes for the Hidden Power Electric, I believe. It's not very effective after all, but that would have been a great decision if I was a Charizard Y. Although quite risky indeed. But Sid does go down to the Fire Punch, absolutely no questions asked, and my opponent goes out into Big Dog, the Garchomp. Now, I was fearing the Scarf Chomp, I was fearing the Swords Dance Chomp. Either way, I have to go into Flossie, my Hippowdon. Physically defensive, she's just kind of a beast and likes to earthquake shit, and she's also a hippo, so really what more do you want? But yes, Big Dog is going to Mega Evolve and go for the Dragon Claw, which is totally fine. Flossie can take that. We're going to get a bit of lefties recovery over there, and I do believe this is the perfect time to set up my rocks as my opponent withdraws Big Dog, going into Big Balls, the Fortress, who is able to rapid spin and just do whatever. Also, Fortress would have been able to take the potential Ice Fang if that was what my opponent was fearing. But we are able to get up our rocks, and I decided to switch immediately out into Glyve, my Charizard, in case my opponent decided to set up rocks of their own, so that I could avoid the big old chunk of damage that I would have inevitably took at the rocks coming out. But the rocks do come out as expected, and I do go for the Fire Punch, taking Big Balls down to its Sturdy, which is pretty damn nice. It's pretty damn sweet, to be honest with you. And my opponent does go for the Toxic, just in case I decided to D-Dance, which is a good decision on their behalf, and I'm going to be slowly whittled away from the Toxic damage, and I can't really do anything about that. The rocks are in play. My Charizard, I don't have a spinner on this team, so I can't really switch out. I'm sort of trapped in here right now. The second Fire Punch is going to be able to take it out, as that 1 HP ain't gonna be surviving anything really, but Toxic plus Rocky Helmet is going to be eating away at my Charizard Y, and just Charizard X rather, and I'm just like, man, what's going on here? But anyway, out comes King Abu 2, the Infernape, and I think naturally Infernape does outspeed Charizard anyway, but my opponent does go for the Vacuum Wave, so I'm like, balls! It has priority. Either way, Despair is a good switch in, especially defensive, but the typing is pretty much fine, and my opponent does seem to be a specially defensive set. I do decide to go straight for the Toxic, expecting the outswitch, and we managed to catch the Garchomp, and I was like, yay! Because if this was a Swords Dance set, we would have been able to set this thing on a timer, and at this point my belief is just to stall it out and just be a complete douche canoe. I thought my opponent might predict the Protect, so I actually went for the Scald, feeble as Alomamola's Scalds are. And we're gonna get off this Scald, and it's pretty nice. We managed to soak the dragony thing. I'm not really sure. Alomamola's pretty gross with the fluids and stuff. Yeah, it's not very good. But now I'm gonna go for the Protect. I was kind of fearing this thing being a Swords Dance situation, but with it being Toxic, I was less and less afraid of it. And I knew it would have to Swords Dance at some point, and it, you know, I mean, we could sort of fart around with it, and Flossie could take a +2 Dragon Claw if it came to that, and by that point this thing would be whittled down. But this is what happens. The Garchomp goes to bed, and I'm like, bruh, this is not the time. This is not the time for you to go to bed. So this is obviously not amazing to me because the Toxic is gone, the Garchomp is at full health, and I was like, oh well, tits. But the thing is, if it's Rest, it's probably Rest Talk and has Dragon Claw and EQ as its primary attacking moves, so I don't need to worry about the Swords Dance, which is what I was fearing the most. This Dragon Claw is going to do a heavy chunk. They managed to catch it with the lucky Sleep Talk, and I go for the Wish. Now my thinking here is go for the Wish, pass it to my Landorus, pass it to Tango my Landorus, because I knew I could take a Dragon Claw if it came down to it, and my opponent has a high chance of getting either Rest or Earthquake, both of which would obviously do nothing to my little cloud bastard, and yeah, it's going to be okay. So he's going to go for the Rest Talk and gets the Rest, which is very sad. We're going to get healed by the Wish, that like whatever 20 damage from the rocks there, and we're able to go for the Psychic. And my opponent does go for the Dragon Claw. I went for the Psychic just in case they wanted to switch out. Either way, an Earth Power will be enough to kill it at this range as it's stab, and Landorus is just so powerful. My opponent does decide to leave the Garchomp in at this point, choosing to just allow it to die to get a safe switch into Holy Knight the Gallade. And I was really scared of this Gallade! I was really scared of this Gallade because the last time I faced you, Chris, you used the Gallade and I was incredibly shocked by it, and it had like Will-O-Wisp and Bulk Up and all kinds of scary stuff. But I was fearing the Ice Punch, so I did decide to just U-turn, go into Despair, who could take an Ice Punch, but my opponent went for the knockoff, predicting the out switch, but not wanting to risk the Ice Punch, or maybe reveal it. And at this point, I couldn't switch along out because I didn't want this thing to get a Drain Punch and catch something in the face and get a ton of health back. So that's kind of the only option I had. I go into the slimmest of gyms. Slim Gym, I don't really think this was the best thing I could have done, but I went for the Skull, just trying to get the cheeky burn to neutralize this thing, because at this point I wasn't confident that Flossie, I didn't know if Flossie would be capable of living a Ice Punch or not, and I hadn't seen the Ice Punch yet, so my opponent did go for the Shadow Sneak after going for the knockoff, and that combination is gonna be enough to kill the slimmest of gyms. Oh my goodness, he just went down really horribly fast to that Gallade, didn't he? Oh my Jesus. But now we go into Flossie, and I think I could probably live one Ice Punch, but I didn't want to switch into it and then have it Drain Punch me and all kinds of horrible shit. So he does go for that Ice Punch, and I go for the EQ, and this is gonna be enough to take out the Holy Knight, and I was sort of really pleasantly surprised by that, to be honest with you. Flossie is amazing. Hippowdon is a truly brilliant Pokemon, it really, really is. And my opponent switches into Beat Kiss, and I'm like, man, I can't do anything to Beat Kiss, to be honest with you, so I just have to sort of sit here and try and go for the Slack Off. I was fearing the flinch being a situation, but I had faith in Flossie. I had faith. Blind faith. There's not really any... I mean, hacks is hacks. It's just gonna happen despite any praying that you may or may not do. So we do manage to not flinch, and we get the Slack off, and this is important because I was fearing the Infinite being mixed and nobody else on my team could really tussle with it. After the Rocks damage, a Vacuum Wave would kill Landorus, so I was like, oh, this is cute. So I go into Digit knowing I can take an Air Slash or a Dazzling Gleam or whatever this thing wants to do. And I didn't go for the Flash Cannon in this instance because I was fearing my opponent switching into the Infinite, who could have taken the Flash Cannon and then proceeded to just sort of ruin my life. So I went for the Volt Switch, which would be super effective anyway, and went into Flossie. Now the reason I'm dancing around with this thing is because Flossie only has Earthquake as the attacking move, and Togekiss is kind of flying, so I can't really do anything about it. I could have gone for the Roar, but it just sort of felt like a bit of a waste of time, when I could just try and stay at good health. So my opponent went for the Air Slash, and that's okay. We don't flinch again, we go for the Slack Off, and at this point I was thinking perhaps he's expecting me to switch into Magneton, perhaps he's expecting me to switch into Digit. So I decided to stay in and go for another Slack Off to better prepare myself for the Infinite that would come out. So out comes King Arbu 2, and I was like, yay! Because I couldn't really do anything to the Togekiss. It would have to be a difficult situation of me trying to get Magneton out again, and this thing could come out in terrible situations. So he goes to the Flamethrower, and Flossie isn't going to take that amazingly, but takes it okay, takes it damn well, and we're able to go for the Earthquake, which is going to be enough to take out King Arbu 2, and at this point it was pretty much okay. We are pretty much okay, because the Togekiss is going to come back out. It's going to take a little smidge of damage from the rocks, and that's fine, but we're going to be completely free to switch into Digit, who is honestly an amazing Pokemon. Magneton is amazing with the Eviolite, and we're going to be able to just sort of fire off Flash Cannons as much as we want, and it's all good. But my opponent did go for the Roost on the switch, and a whopping total of 2 Flash Cannons will be enough to take out this Togekiss. So it was really kind of nice to not get screwed over by a Togekiss, because these things do give me trouble on more than one occasion, but the Air Slash is going to keep coming, and we do actually quad resist that, so it's kind of okay. You know what? It's just a really good Pokemon. Magneton is just the best. So we're going to get this second Flash Cannon off, and that is going to be enough to take out the Togekiss, and that is going to be game. So thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for the battle. Your Twitter link will be in the description down below. Guys, do go and check him out. Send your battles his way, because he is a good battler. He's very good. Watch out for his Gallades, because the Gallades are crazy and they will fuck you up most mightily. hit me up on Twitter if you would like to have a battle with me. The question of the day for today is gonna be music suggestions. It's not so much a question of the day, more as a demand of the day, I'm sorry. But yes, folks, I would like for you to suggest music that you would like to appear on the channel. Video game music is kind of the thing, because otherwise we have to dance around copyright. So no Mariah Carey stuff. I know you all love that. I know you all really want to listen to Friday, Rebecca Black. I can't have that on, unfortunately. You know, it's just a little bit difficult. I know you all want that, though. I know you all want that deeply. Believe me, I do too. So, yeah. Please leave your music suggestions in the comment section down below. I would super appreciate that. Leave a like, please. Do me a massive favor. I'd really appreciate that. But more importantly than likes, comments, and subscriptions is for you all to take care of yourselves. And I will see you soon, my friends. Bye-bye.